I've got a fantastic new Mandela effect to share with all of you. Hpnotiq, the flavored drink that I've spoken about before, has changed again. I talked about its original Mandela effect back in Brand New Mandela Effects Part 15, and how its name had changed. The spelling was completely off. I'm going to show that clip now and catch you up. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you what has changed now, so pay very close attention to every detail. Alcohol is consumed all over the world, and with so many manufacturers, it can be hard to really stand out and get your product noticed. The newly created vodka, cognac, and fruit-flavored brand Hpnotiq was created in 2001, and it found it by creating a liquor that literally sparkled. Shaking up a bottle of Hpnotiq created a glitter-like sparkle effect that became an instant hit. In fact, that's the only reason I personally know of Hpnotiq. A friend saw it on a shelf and bought it, and no doubt, the sparkle makes it very memorable. And honestly, you can't say that about most liquors. So here is where the Mandela effect comes in. If you have ever had this drink before, or purchased a bottle of it, or simply seen it on a store shelf, the sparkle, the design, the name, it's all very memorable. So here's the question, how is Hpnotiq spelled? Is it spelled Hpnotiq, Hypnotic, or Hypnotic? If you're like me, you remember it being Hpnotiq, with a Y and a Q. And that's understandable. It's a slight spelling variation of the word hypnotic so that they could trademark the name. But you'd be wrong, it's actually Hpnotiq, with that really strange spelling. That spelling is absurd. Not just in the sense that it's purposefully confusing, but it's a pain on the eyes. I've seen this drink hundreds of times. I've even held the bottle in my hands on multiple occasions. This is absolutely something I would have noticed. But here we are. Has Hpnotiq always been spelled like this, or is this another example of the Mandela effect? Let me know. Now that you're up to date with what I said then, this will more likely blow your mind. Hpnotiq is no longer shiny. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't have that beautiful glitter effect anymore. As of now, it is just solid blue. How is it that I made an entire video segment on this drink? And not only did I somehow not notice that the drink didn't sparkle, but not a single commenter noticed either. That video has 119,000 views as of right now. In all that time, with all of the people who commented that they were bartenders and they made Hpnotiq drinks all the time, or that they love drinking this, or that they used to party all the time, etc., how is it that no one noticed? In fact, the first comment to mention that it doesn't sparkle, or hasn't ever sparkled, was from 9 days ago. Here's that comment. Not a single comment before this one, in the 2 years since this video has been released, has said otherwise. And I know this because I checked. In fact, I looked up every term I could think of in the comments. Sparkle, shine, shimmer, glitter, shiny, nothing. Something very similar happened in my last video. I went back and looked at my favorite Mandela effect from a video I made 3 years before. The changes that had happened since I first talked about it were unbelievable. And here we are again, where I have a dedicated video segment on a topic that has now changed. This means that the research that I did, the script that I wrote, the audio recording of me reading that script, and the images I used are now retroactively wrong. I'm honestly not even mad. I'm amazed. When I made that original video, I obviously believed that Hpnotiq sparkled. I included not just my voice mentioning that point, but also what I thought were photos that showed that. I even added glittery blue backgrounds to further represent the shimmer. I also specifically remember going to my favorite liquor store downtown when I first heard this drink's name had changed and checking for myself. So, what is going on here? Let's get to the bottom of this. First up is the idea that maybe I was mistaking this for another sparkling drink. Upon doing some research, I found a French drink called Nouveau Sparkling Liqueur. Apparently this was the first drink to sparkle like I remember Hpnotiq sparkling. This bottle was modeled to give off a perfume-like design, and originally displayed the words "For Her" on it. I have never heard of this drink before, and there is no way that I could have mistaken this drink for Hpnotiq. Besides, look at the color, it's completely different. Next up is a drink from Hpnotiq themselves called Hpnotiq Sparkle, released in 2014. I can't make this stuff up. I'm looking for a sparkly bottle of Hpnotiq that apparently doesn't exist, and now there's a specific sparkling variant of Hpnotiq. At first I thought, mystery solved. That is, until I saw the bottle. Not only does this bottle have a different branding and look to it compared to regular Hpnotiq, it also isn't sparkly. There's no glittery shine to it. It's simply bubbly, like champagne. The sparkle of Hpnotiq Sparkle is carbonation, not glitter or whatever it was that made it sparkly like a lot of us remember. We are 2 for 2 right now, so maybe this next and final answer is the one we're looking for. In 2015, a brand named Hpnotiq was released. Now this stuff was sparkly from what I found online about it. Apparently it was discontinued for unknown or undisclosed reasons between 2019 and 2020. If I had to guess, you were straight up drinking glitter. So is it possible that everyone that remembers Hpnotiq being shiny, myself included, was actually thinking of Hpnotiq? I really don't know, and I can't answer for everyone. Personally, I had never heard of or seen this brand before today, and looking more into it, the colors available for Hpnotiq were dark purple and later on red and orange. There wasn't even a blue shade, let alone a light blue shade. So I spent hours looking into this because I get super obsessive over things that really interest me, and I found this really neat. There's an article by mash.com about the untold truth of Hpnotiq shimmery liqueur. This article goes on to describe the history of this drink, as well as show off a ton of amazing photos of this beverage. I wonder if it was any good. Let me know if you had this before it was removed from the market. Anyway, the 2022 article goes on to, strangely enough, mention Hpnotiq of all things, a brand that was apparently never shiny. So why was it brought up in an article about this shiny drink? Unless perhaps the author, for some reason, in their mind, associated Hpnotiq as a shiny drink as well. In fact, it was totally unrelated to Hpnotiq, as both targeted different demographics. Gen X for Hpnotiq and Millennials for Hpnotiq. Not to mention Hpnotiq came out in 2001 and Hpnotiq came out in 2015, a full 14 years later. I don't see how or why these two disparate bottles would be compared in an article, but they are. The article goes on to say, Hpnotiq Shimmering Liqueur was the first shimmering liqueur specifically designed for the American market. Before Hpnotiq, there were a few smaller and lesser known drinks like France's Nouveau that had a much subtler effect. Although liqueurs like Hpnotiq capitalized on bright and bold drink flavors, Hpnotiq was the first brand to not only combine the two, but to really strive for a drink that looks like pure glitter. So already, I would pause. How did Hpnotiq combine the two? Hpnotiq launched as a glittery dark purple drink. Hpnotiq was a bright blue drink that was apparently never glittery. They are completely different. One is dark and shiny, and one is bright blue and apparently not shiny. Where is this association coming from anyway? If Hpnotiq was never shiny, this is a random non sequitur. It's irrelevant to bring up. Unless it's the exact same association that I and so many others now have for completely unknown reasons. Also, I'd like to point out that they spelled Hpnotiq with the old spelling in that article, the spelling that is now considered incorrect. This article is a great piece of residue for both Hpnotiq Mandela effects. So what do you think about this Mandela effect? Do you remember the glitter or the name being spelled differently like so many others, or is this how Hpnotiq always was? Perhaps I'm simply thinking of another drink, in a different color, that I've never seen, had, or heard of before. Is it truly as simple as that? Or is this another example of the Mandela effect? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below.